In today's episode, we have a Singaporean who left Google, left then TikTok, and left all the corporate jobs to become a content creator, filmmaker, and is now documenting her journey and helping other people do the same to achieve their dreams. Jamie Lim, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, hi, Kate. Thank you so much for having me on. Very excited to have this chat.
I'm excited too. Okay. First question is, how would you help people to become a better yapper, basically? How to improve their yapping online because it's so popular these days?
To be honest, I'm not the best yapper out there. I do find it a little bit of a struggle. I just completed my 30-day yapping challenge. I didn't yap every day. I did batch shooting. So basically, maybe in a day I would get like 4 or 5 pieces of content, and then I'll record it, and then I'll post it for the next 5 days. I'll edit and then I'll post it. But with yapping, I tried going off the cuff and just talk about whatever came to mind, but I felt like the point I wanted to put across didn't quite land sometimes in some of the pieces of content. So how I go about doing now is I just plan like 20 to 30% of what I kind of want to say, and then I just try to let it flow. And generally that works quite well. When I started content creation, I actually scripted everything word for word. So it was good, it was very succinct, but I felt like it really sucked the soul out of, when for me, social media is really just about trying to connect with people, right? But just doing the scripting, I just felt I lost that little bit of me in every piece of content. So I think it's about finding the balance. Some people are good at yapping. I don't think I'm the most natural person, but it was worth a bit of a try. And yeah, sometimes I think it's good to just get and have that sense of like relatability with the other person on the side of the screen. Yeah, I found that some pieces did quite well. So overall, a decent experience, I would say, with yapping.
Yeah. Like what I found it interesting was that you kind of plan your content and kind of improve as you go or to have some schedule around it.
I think it really works differently for each individual. For me, I like to, when I'm planning or shooting, I think you're always in a different frame of mind. If you were to plan, shoot, edit, and post every day, it would get quite tiring. It works for some people who are, it's easy, they do it on their phone. I'm a bit particular. I like to use my camera to film. So for me, it takes a little bit more work. So I'm like, if I'm yapping already, I might as well just film 4 or 5, right? So when I write or I plan, I also plan for like 4 or 5 pieces of content. Before that, though, there's the bit about ideation, right? So for ideation, I usually just use like my Apple Notes app. Sometimes when I hear something on a podcast or I read something and I feel like, oh, this is actually quite interesting, I kind of want to explore a little bit more. I literally just write it on my notes app on like Apple. I have a folder which is just ideas basically. And then sometimes I just type a sentence and then after that I'll come back to it when I feel like, okay, I need to start writing and scripting my content. And yeah, like for example, the other day I was thinking I was gonna do some client work basically, but I was facing the difficulty of just figuring out how to price myself and my service, which because my service is very, very unique. So yeah, I was like, oh, this is actually a pretty cool piece of content that I feel like I could talk about because I feel like people would struggle with it. And people could relate to it and people could learn something from whatever I'm going through. So it's just as simple as like I think just writing down your ideas and then coming back to it.
Yeah, get a little bit like to the ideation and creativity. I think, especially I had a problem that, when I write some ideas or I hear something, it may feel like not original enough, or you like kind of may feel like this idea, everybody did a video about that idea. Nothing is original these days, or how can I differ, or how can I use my creativity when, you don't want to just kind of say the same thing as, the person on the podcast or in the book said. So kind of how do you think about making it yours?
I think that's the differentiation that comes with like personal branding. That's why I think it's such a big thing now, because no one has ever lived your life or has ever had your experience. So even if you have something to share, I think putting your spin on it or just really sharing your experience as an example, that could definitely help. Generally, sometimes when I like listen to people telling me advice and stuff, I'm like, yeah, okay, but then when I think back to my own situation, yeah, how did I kind of like solve that situation? And there's a little bit of nuance here and there. So I would say, yeah, think back to your own experience. There's this idea that basically you have your own unfair advantage, right? That you because of your experience you may experience some stuff that other people haven't, and that is your advantage. So for example, for me, I worked in Google before, right? So my unfair advantage is that maybe back in the day, I've read through like 90,000 resumes, right? So that could be an unfair advantage for me. I know how to write up a really good resume now. It's like so easy for me, right? But it's because I've done the work and all that, compared to someone who was not in HR, who maybe is in marketing or something like that. Yeah, it's just a corporate example for you. But yeah, I think it's just figuring out what your unfair advantage is and using it to your advantage.
Yeah, that makes sense. And now I need to ask, like, how do you write a perfect resume? You know, kind of if you have any simple structure or something like that, I would love to know. I think people could use it.
Oh, yes, you want to know now?
Yeah, yeah.
Firstly, it's looking at the job description. If you look at the job description, they will have all these certain requirements. And I think it's really about matching your experience to the job requirements. A lot of skills are very transferable. So it's really about seeing what exactly this job requires and how your skills kind of match that, and then phrasing it in a way and pulling all your experience to sort of showcase that, hey, I can do this. So but one thing I would say is definitely don't put all your years of experience, right? Like I worked for like 10 years in the corporate world. I wouldn't be putting every single thing I did in that 10 years. It would be too long. Resume, I think maybe just 2 pages is sufficient, but just pull out the most appropriate and the best examples you can use to showcase that matches the job you're going after.
Yeah, very cool. To get back into the content creation, do you have any kind of ritual or something you do before filming that, it's kind of became a routine that helps you a lot with filming and makes like your life a little bit easier that people can use?
I mean, supposedly this is like you should already be doing it, but for me, it's always making sure everything is charged. Because sometimes, with content creation, there's like a lot of lights, there's like your cameras, there's batteries, there's cables you need to deal with. So for me, basically every time after I finish a shoot or I finish my content stuff, the first thing I do is charge everything. So the next time I come back, it's all ready to go. I don't have to worry about this is gonna run out of light, or my mic is gonna run out of battery. So I think that's a really simple tip that I always do it right after I'm done with the shoot.
Sounds simple, but I wouldn't think of that, so I need to start doing it too. Because I'm kind of a new person into this, tech and cinematic filmmaking world. So just learning because if I started this podcast, and I want to upgrade some stuff, and some stuff is totally new to me. So kind of learning as I go.
Mm.
To get even to scripting a little bit, when you're talking about we talk about ideas and how do you think of it, making getting your own spin to it, how do you think about kind of scripting in general? Do you have some storytelling structures? Everybody in the content creation is talking about like storytelling and all of these structures and all of it.
Yeah, there's so many out there, and there are a lot of different books that can sort of bring you there. But I think for me, a couple of things before I start, I ask myself a couple of questions. The first thing is, what do I want my audience to feel by the when they finish watching this? What do I want them to feel? Because the kind of content I love to create is a lot more about, like, I want my content to move people, to make people feel a certain emotion by the end of it, whether it's being inspired or maybe they want to like take action and do something, motivational, that sort of thing. So that's the first thing I think of when I create a piece of content. And then after that, it's taking my stories and my examples and kind of like figuring out, okay, does this fit the theme of what I want to create? There's a very easy one that I've learned from this creator called Brian Hines. Awesome creator. Go check him out. It's the framework is just called CAR, CAR. It's context, action, and like resolution. Very easy. What's the context of the problem, right? And then what did you do to do it? And then how did you solve it? It's very easy. So generally, I just kind of like follow that. Yeah, I feel like I'm still learning how to become a better storyteller. There are so many ways to storytell, and I think storytelling is like the root of it, right? Even if you don't have like very good visuals, but you have an amazing story, people will still sit and listen to you. So I think that is the first thing that everyone should continue to try to develop. I'm still developing it. I don't think I'm like amazing at it, but the more you do, the more you kind of get it. And yeah, it's just a little bit about practice and just putting in the reps, I think.
And did you read any books about storytelling that you like particularly liked and helped you?
Yeah, there's this guy, I think the is by what's his name? Oh, let me think. Matthew Dix, Storyworthy. Yeah.
I know this one. I know this one.
Yeah, I think that was the an interesting one. I read another one about stories. I forgot. I even took notes. Let me see if I have the. Let me
Sure,
see if I
sure.
have the. Uh, Let me see. I even took notes. So, oh, but this is more branding, I think. So it's building a story brand. I don't know who's the author. Building a story brand by Donald Miller. That was interesting also. It gives you like different frameworks to think about. Especially if you want to like make a business out of content. I think this one is pretty good. Building a story brand.
Okay, interesting. You touched on the topic of brand, so how do you think about kind of building your brand and content creation? How does it kind of connect? And many people like talk about brand, but not many people kind of define it, what it even is, even if when everybody's talking about it. So if you have any kind of definition, and how do you think about it?
Mm, I just, I literally just watched the video on this yesterday and I really loved his definition. There's this creator called Tom Noski. He had this amazing definition. Let me try to look for it.
Of course, of course.
I mean, it's a little bit of a long thing, but let's see. No, it's not this one. That's a bit loud. Hmm. What did I watch yesterday? Let me see. Let me go to my history. Yeah, I think it's this one. Let's let's see. Okay. So his definition is quite long. Personal branding is creating genuinely useful content coupled with your specific area of expertise, coupled with attaching it to a real human being and having it distributed publicly and doing it over time sustainably. It's very, very long. I'm gonna see if I can. Is there any way to like share it with you? Maybe maybe I'll share it with you on the chat. I don't know if it works. Send message. Let's see.
Or even give the definition like in the editing of it, so people will have it on the screen, so it's okay.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. It's a pretty long line, but this is the best definition of personal brand that I've heard, and it's not the typical like, oh, it's what people say about you outside. the room. Yeah, I thought it was very, very interesting. It's true. Like if you make genuinely useful content with your area of expertise, and I like the fact he talks about attaching it to a real human being. We can talk a bit about AI later, but yeah, I think it's important for it to be done by a real human being. Um, Having your content distributed publicly over time and like doing that sustainably. Because if you lack any of these factors, yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult to build a good personal brand. Even for me, like I struggled. Like even after my 30-day yapping, I fell sick. I caught COVID again. So I was just out for 2 weeks. It was crazy. And I don't have like a good system in place to, you know, make sure I'm like pushing out content all the time. So basically, I didn't really post for like 2 or 3 weeks, right? And that's just a fact because I was sick. I couldn't do anything at all. So yeah, it's good to like start building a system, which I'm starting to build again.
No, I think it's real because sometimes you just get sick and your voice is gone and you're so tired you can't do anything, and that even makes it more human. If you kind of not is post every day, but common kind of content creation advice is to post every day, and that's the best way to improve. Like maybe yes, but I know some creators that post like once a month and then make it just good. They take it as an art and they have kind of the same amount of success. So I think just consistency will not give you the results that you want. And I've heard this kind of great definition even, or something that growth means kind of consistency and experimentation. Doing a little bit of what works and less of what doesn't, because just kind of pushing it consistently will not kind of get you where you want now.
Yes, I agree. I think content is a marathon of experiments because you really don't know what will do well. Even if something does well, you can double down on it. But sometimes even if you think, oh, this piece of content is going to do well, it doesn't do well. And then the piece of content, maybe you don't spend too much time of it, it blows up. Yeah, it's content is interesting, an interesting challenge, I would say.
Absolutely. And to talk about a little bit more about the branding, kind of, because I know you have kind of your font and your color that you use in your videos, and you have kind of this like style of videos that you make. And how would you advise even like these solopreneurs or content creators to find their own, either is it like color they want to use or what videos even they want to make, because it's easy to get in your head even before you start to kind of if before you hit record.
Yeah, honestly, the easiest is just you just got to start first. You don't have to wait for like, I don't know, the perfect hoodie or the perfect color, the perfect mic, the perfect camera. Like start with what you have first. Nowadays phones are great, right? So I would say just start with the phone, just get a simple mic and start recording next to the window. It's cheap and you have no excuse not to kind of get it done. But for those who are like getting more serious about it and you really want to dive in, I definitely like I'm not on the camp where it's like gear doesn't matter. I think gear matters quite a lot. You will see a significant jump in your quality and like the way you sound, the way you look on camera. It's just different. And I just like that. Like I like it. I know now a lot of people, especially on TikTok, they like the raw kind of like raw yapping. Yeah, I mean, that kind of content just doesn't attract me, but it's okay because I think no matter what kind of content you create, you will find your tribe and your tribe will enjoy your sort of content, right? Like for me, I like very curated, cinematic, a bit more like storytelling sort of content. I tried yapping. Yapping doesn't really quite work for me. So it's okay. Like I tried, but as long as you just continue experimenting and trying, I think you'll also find like what works for you. But I would say really to start, just start with your phone. Do maybe like how long's 2 weeks? Maybe just do like 2 weeks to a month and see if you can do it consistently. It's always very difficult at the start because people say it's easy, yeah, you record, but you have to learn so many things at the same time. You have to learn how to edit, And sometimes, oh, how come there's no audio? I know I sound terrible on camera. I don't know how to script. I'm not looking at the camera. So there are a lot of kinks to work out at the beginning. So the path to least resistance, I think, just use the phone first. And if yeah, you're very serious about it, then start thinking about the upgrade.
And of course, we will get a little bit into the gear, but before, like you said, yapping really didn't work for you. So how will you now? Will you get back into scripting, or will you just kind of use half and half?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mix. I do think I still have to do a little bit of yapping because I think it really connects you to your audience. Like I had a piece that went like it did quite well. It's about like finding success as a Singaporean, and I think that hit a note with quite a few followers, right? So I think it's not only about the yapping, but it's about yeah, really the topic. What do you think? What's your opinion on a certain topic, right? Is it interesting enough for people to want to like kind of like carry on and watch what you have to say about it, what your opinions are about it? So I think I'm not gonna completely disregard yapping. I think it's still important to sort of do that. But what drives me creatively, I think, is a little bit more of the more cinematic stuff, the storytelling. So I think finding a balance, I think, is important. Um, I know people say like doing carousels is easy. I find it really difficult for some reason. Like editing a video and all that is so easy and so straightforward for me now. I'm just like, if you ask me to do a carousel, I have to put this here, I have to write. I'm just like, no, let me just like do a video. It's just faster. So it's like play to your strengths, also, I would say.
I didn't heard about it, honestly, but it kind of makes sense. And I've watched your Singaporean video, and honestly, for someone who doesn't come from Singapore, the first question was, what is even Singaporean success? Because I think in even every country, every culture, it is different. So that was, one of the questions, like, what is even Singaporean success? And that kind of got me into it, that even like everything, I kind of took it more deep than it was supposed to, but yeah, it was good video, honestly.
You glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I think that is a signal. So for me, it's like I want to do a little bit more content on that. Not exactly maybe that topic, but I think just questioning my identity as a Singaporean, and like kind of weaving it into my story, my journey, like what I plan to do in the future, that sort of thing. Yeah, and again, it's an experiment, so let's just see how it goes.
And to get a little bit more, at least into the business, you talk about kind of the pricing yourself, and I think that's the thing that many people struggle with. Even like when I was, back in the days, kind of trying to do this cold outreach thing, I had a big problem with it because it didn't even go to pricing because I thought I wasn't good enough to like price people of what I was doing, and then there are people who are 10 times worse but kind of charge 10 times more, and how it's like even pricing yourself can be really difficult. Talk to some people about it, and how do you think about it?
So for me, I also find cold outreach pretty difficult. I think everyone finds it difficult because they're afraid of rejection. But for at least the brands I'm working with now, I did a cold outreach, but I offered something of value first. So I said, hey, look, when you're free, I would really love to just come down and do like a 30-second reel for you, like for free. You can use it for your ads or whatever, but I'll come and do it for you for free. Maybe you can just like give me a coffee or something like that. And yeah, like that's how I got a couple of clients, to be honest. And because they saw the reel, I mean, it cost them nothing, right? Basically, I just come there down, I show them the reel, and they're like, "Yeah, we really like it. Okay, how do we then how do we then sort of work with you, right?" And then of course, yes, we go to pricing. I think pricing is firstly it's just understanding your worth also. Don't ever like underprice yourself. I think it's important to like honor your work also because what you do is it's of quality, it's good. Like you took the time to learn it and bring this skill, right? So rightfully you should charge for it. Where I'm at now, it's like I do have a certain amount of expertise. I'm not a beginner. So I think there's a certain amount definitely I can charge. Another thing is to, I think, understand the market rate now. Like in Singapore, what is the market rate for like a videographer, for example, or like an editor? Honestly, you can check with Claude, ChatGPT, just kind of get a sense, or even check with your like, I don't know, creative friends who are maybe in the field, just to get a sense of like numbers and stuff, and then price yourself. It's there's no hard and fast rule on like how many videos is fair or good, but a good gauge is for you to know like, okay, if I were to do this amount of work, would I be happy with this? Because you don't want to undercharge. Once you undercharge and you start to feel bitter about, oh my god, I'm doing all this work and it's cost so much of my time and not being paid enough, then things start to go downwards. So I would say, yeah, I think it's a combination of all those things. Like for me, when I first started, like I have a trial month, right? If brands want to work with me, I'm like, look, I'll charge you 1,200 or 1,500. I'll do like 12 reels for you, and 12 photos, so you can use it across your content for the month, and I'll come down for like one shoot day. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds okay. I only have to go down once to the place. I get what I need, and then I can just, you know, quickly shoot whatever I need and send it to them. Yeah, so that's how I started. And then eventually, as you build more rapport, I think with the brand, they trust you, then you can start to charge for other things. Like maybe if they're interested in more storytelling kind of reels, or like I'm doing like client interviews for some of my clients, like they have a business and then they want testimonials, right? So it's something I know how to do also. So I'm like, yeah, I can do it for you, but it's not that price, it's something else. It's a bit more expensive, you know. So I think just understanding how much time you need to do the work also, and that, yeah, pricing yourself at a price that you feel happy with, I think that is the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if it comes down to experimentation too, when if you feel that you charge just too little, then you can higher your price and not feel like, you're just kind of slaving there for no money, kind of.
Mm,
So, absolutely. And with that, still a little bit more business because we talked before about the yapping, and on the TikTok it is very popular to just yap and just on your bed, just pick up your phone and start talking. But when it comes to business, sometimes I think that that content doesn't attract clients. It may just get some good views, but it can, if you aim for the impact and even for your personal kind of thing you want to do, then you should kind of curate your content to hit that goal, because most of those content creators are just influencers that kind of get views, but then it is like known that many influencers have thousands of followers, millions of like views, but they have actually no money or no business. There's this thing that people say that 1,000 followers on or subscribers on YouTube is worth like 10,000 people on TikTok. So even the follower counts and trust is different there. So how do you kind of what's your opinion on that basically?
I think firstly, to answer the platform differences, I agree. I do think YouTube, having more followers on YouTube, or like one follower on YouTube, I think equates to a lot more followers on TikTok. Because with TikTok and short form, it's very easy to follow someone and not really remember their name. I mean, okay, we can talk about three. We can talk about YouTube, we can talk about Instagram, we can talk about TikTok. For me, TikTok is, I try not to scroll too much on TikTok, to be honest, because I feel like my brain rots every time I go in. Um, and if you want to sell something on TikTok, I feel it's quite difficult to sell a high ticket offer on TikTok, just because, yeah, it's difficult to build an audience that trusts you, right? With a 30-second reel, it is quite difficult, I would say. That's why even for brands and stuff, for their ads, they don't pay out very much for TikTok, just because it's it's too short of a time you spend with your audience, say a 30-minute to like a 30-second to 1 minute kind of reel. There's not enough time to like convince you or like build that relationship with the other person on the other side of the screen. So TikTok is probably really good for. Have you ever heard of the marketing funnel?
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah. Yeah. So TikTok is very good for the awareness level. So getting eyeballs on you, I think TikTok is a great platform for that. Instagram is also pretty good for awareness, but I think Instagram is a level better than that. I don't know. I feel like things on Instagram are a bit more curated. They're a little bit more. I don't know. When I see stuff on Instagram, I feel like there's a level of I trust people more on Instagram. Like I can sell something on Instagram, not too much on TikTok. Yeah, it's just a different level of curation, I would say. I'm not sure if it's like a demographic thing also, but I feel like maybe more millennials are also on Instagram compared to more Gen Zs on TikTok as well. But for YouTube, obviously, like say if I create a 7-minute video, I'm spending 7 minutes with you talking to you, right? That's time spent with me. That's a relationship build. That's rapport build. Compared to like 30 seconds on like TikTok. It's very difficult. And with TikTok, sometimes I see a piece of interesting content. I'm like, okay, I like it. And then I start to kind of recognize the face, but I find that I don't remember the person who posted it. I remember the content is interesting, but I don't remember the creator. But on Instagram or on YouTube, I find it the other way around. I find a creator I like. I'm like, wow, I want to know more about this creator's stuff, right? And as they talk more, they spend more time with me. I'm like, I'm gonna follow this creator, and then I actually remember the creator. I know what's going on in their lives. They built the parasocial kind of like connection with them. Yeah, and I think YouTube. I still think YouTube is king. I still think long form content is the best. I love like long form content, but I think now it's about, yeah, you kind of embrace short form, but you need to figure out what works for you as a creator. If you can create short form sustainably, then okay, go create short form, right? But if you like to create long form, you can do that consistently also. Then yeah, go ahead, create long form also. It needs to work for you also. But I think YouTube, because you can spend more time with the person, I still think it's the best platform out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. That's why I got a little bit more into that long form content because I think it's it is better for the creator, but I think it's better for the viewer too, that they have a kind of chance of thinking about the idea and kind of know more of the context, because it's very easy, especially if advice on all of these platforms is just coming at you, and even if you use it, then kind of it doesn't work or all of that. So even with advice and with the self-improvement space, podcasts are just love those, and it kind of gets you new perspective more than scrolling on TikTok that you don't even remember the last reel you watched.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I think people are getting tired of short form. I was tired of short form like quite a while back already. I never really loved it, but to a certain extent, you still have to embrace it just a little bit. But if you ask me where I consume my content, it's mostly YouTube.
I think that's everybody. And to that, I saw like before, like 2 years ago, you even made your own kind of even long form videos and podcast, and then you made like this kind of Scribble Life, I think the name is, even like new YouTube channel just for that. And why did you make that pivot to more of a even to that new YouTube channel and new all of it?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't been as consistent as I would like to be. I thought it would be interesting to start a new channel because I'm a different person than I was back then. Um, and I do think it's going down much more of like a storytelling kind of path. And I have this goal to just attract or, if I want to find my tribe, I feel like maybe I should start from a clean slate and yeah, see if people like my content, then they'll follow me, right? But I don't know. I've been bouncing back and forth to be honest. Sometimes I'm like, I have 4,000 followers on my original channel. Maybe I should leverage that, you know? Yeah, but I worry that I might be confusing my previous audience just because if you look at my content on YouTube, I was just there's so much experimenting. It's just like I was like self-improvement at one point, and I started with career tips, right? Because of my experience. So it's like career tips, self-improvement. I left corporate era and then came along the podcast. So it was very confusing, I think, to the a person who's watching like what is Jamie like doing, what is Jamie specializing in. Um yeah, I'm also still trying to figure out my personal brand and what do I really want to help people with. I think yeah, so I think with the YouTube, still figuring it out to be honest. I don't know whether I will post my next video on the new one or the old one, but I'm just trying to sort out like my back end, my ikigai, just making sure I'm really talking to the right person who I want to help. And then from there, I don't know, I'll figure out the platform stuff.
I think it's so real because everybody's so consistent and so perfect on every social media platform, like how they are doing great. But the reality is that not always you're consistent, not always, you've performed as much as you would like to perform, even, and, all of that stuff. So I think people can relate to that too. And even if I kind of was like, I have 4,000 people here, but a new channel here, then where would I post it? Kind of
Mm,
because I get like I've been creating content for just a little, but like the growth, like you experience like over time is just too much. I if even watched my videos like months ago, I would be like, who is that? So absolutely. And with
yeah.
that, I wanted to get into, the AI because that's a topic of mine that on every podcast just comes around when we are talking about content creation because it's so big. And kind of everybody has their different take on it, so I wanted to know yours.
Yeah. I think I'm like team human. I think AI should help us be more productive and we can leverage that to like build our systems, our back end systems, right? Like things I don't like to do, like admin and whatnot, all that. But to bring AI into like the creative world and delegating that out to AI, I think you lose the soul of creation. I think you lose the point of creation. What is the point of creating if I'm just gonna type a prompt and just get AI to like do it, you know? I mean, for example, think of like Wicked, the movie Wicked, right?
I
Like
love that movie.
so much art, so much love, so much effort went into it, the cinematography, the singing, the painting, the props and the sets, like if AI replaces all that, I don't think it's a good thing. Like I think you lose the art, and I feel like I think it's dangerous for AI for us to lose that bit of ourselves to AI. So I'm very like team human. I want to create things because from a human perspective, and I don't think we should be lazy as creators to just delegate everything to AI, especially for like the art of creation. Like scripting, like for example, scripting, right? I like to brainstorm with Claude, right? But my scripts, my ideas, they're still mine. I don't like outsource. I'm like, write a script on this. You can tell when a script is written by AI. It's so clear now. Like I looked on LinkedIn or I looked on, or I just listened to the words that come out. It doesn't sound like a human speaking to another human. It's a very like robotic thing. There are certain words they use. There's like, here's the thing. Game changer. Like at one point it was like ChatGPT just kept using game changer. I just think, yeah, we should just try to do our own creation. And yeah, AI can help us in certain ways, but just not take away the soul of like what we're doing as creators.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, I like her perspective that it's kind of our job to make sure that not all content creators and kind of this content we are making is going to go to AI, because even if I watched kind of the behind the scenes of the Wicked movie, the like the actresses, like them alone, like they wanted to sing. They weren't like, oh, we need to sing on set today. I hope AI could do that, for me, or this effects, or we could do that in the studio. And they wanted to make art. They wanted to bring this another world to a reality a bit. So it's a little bit of kind of our responsibility, even as creators, to make sure not everything gets this kind of, I don't know how to say it, but not everything will be AI at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah,
So even I
yeah,
use AI for a lot of purposes, so.
yeah. I mean, when I look at like there are some videos I click in and I can tell it's the AI video, I just click off. I'm just not interested in like these kinds of, I mean, like technology is like fascinating. I know with um like the advancements in China and stuff, like they have those dancing robots and stuff. I mean, it's really cool, right? Uh, but yeah, I think just it's the thing about like art, I think, that I feel very strongly for, that I as a creator do not want to lose. And I think people are feeling it too, because I feel in the world now that a lot of people find like nostalgic stuff, or they're going back to more like nostalgic stuff, like the older days, a bit more retro, a bit more analog. And I think there's a reason why, because we're all just so tired of AI. We're just so tired of being online all the time. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's why people are so like on nostalgic stuff.
Yeah, like honestly, I think that's why I think it's the same with streamers, because even like with streams, they got so popular and they have like so many diehard fans, because on stream you just kind of turn on the camera and you're hours and hours on end with this creator, and they don't have any script. They kind of don't have anything to hide. You just like with them, with another human, and it's kind of like most of the time it's not scripted, polished, or anything. It's just kind of you and them. And I think that's why they got so popular so fast. Even those charity matches that all of like those big creators do, like millions upon millions of people kind of go on them, even more than celebrities now do.
Yeah, yeah. Completely agree. Yeah, it's the same thing, right? If streamers, you spend so much time with them. It's the same thing with like YouTubers. You only have 7 minutes with them, but streamers is like so much longer, right? So it all boils down to building that relationship and spending more time with the person. And like with the parasocial stuff, like you just feel like you know the person. But I mean, ironically, the person doesn't know you, but
Yeah, I kind of felt that parasocial thing with even artists. When you have like a lot of artists, it's not just their music. It's like even with these big companies, they are doing all of those streams and answering questions, doing like millions of interviews, and it's really kind of easy to get parasocial. And I think it gets to like kind of parts when it's not healthy, but it is kind of needed when you want to have at least some relationship with it. And to get a little bit more into your story and to like all of it, I love this question on the diary of a CEO that I wanted to ask you. Is like, what happened in your early years that explains the person you've become?
Hmm. I think like for me, growing up, I I just never felt like I belonged. In school, and like social norms and stuff. I was bullied when I was in school as well. I don't feel like I fit in socially. Like I'm in the LGBTQ plus family. Even in that way, I didn't like fit into society, you know? So I think there's a lot of bits of it where I feel like I don't fit in and I feel very overlooked. That's why I kind of really like to tell stories because I want to tell stories to supposedly help the little me, I think, be seen, but also help other people be seen. Yeah, I think with storytelling is like so powerful. I think it's the most powerful tool in the world. If you can tell a good story, you can move people. I think people will feel connected to you. People like to sort of appreciate it, the art. Yeah, I think finding I mean I never it's not like I grew up to be like, wow, I want to be a filmmaker. I grew up thought I would be an athlete or something because I really like playing sports. My grades were not very good, so I was like, yeah, maybe an athlete. But then after that, conformed to social norms, and then I studied law. I studied law, but I didn't do well enough to make the bar. And then I went into HR. And then somehow I got into Google, and I had the best time of my life in Google. But when I was in Google, I came across this creator called Ali Abdal, and he really inspired me to start my YouTube channel. And they're like, oh, what kind of value can you teach people, give to the world? I was like, yeah, okay, I know career stuff, so let me start teaching that then, you know? So I think, yeah, it kind of like started from there, but there's that whole evolution where I was just like, I do not want to be telling people about career tips for life because I myself left corporate. So why would I be preaching career things to people, you know? So I was like, yeah, what do I want to do? And I just found like talking to people, talking to founders, learning their story, understanding why they do what they do. I find that very fascinating. So one of the things I do is basically I help brands, founders tell their origin story. So for example, if you go to someone's Instagram page or their I don't know, like they can use it as a brand asset. But it basically shows the person like who they are, what they do, why they do it in a video, sort of crafted in a way I feel would feel very genuine, very true, very like human. And yeah, I love it. Like I love doing that, like for a living, getting to tell people stories. I think that is like the core of what I want to do. And like overall with life, I think I never want to stop telling stories.
Yeah. Storytelling is in general like so important, and I know how much change like it can make, and we are kind of wired to, even with the book that story worthy that Matthew like Dix like wrote, he talks about it basically how we communicated and how we kind of learn new information or learn in general was through stories that
Mm, mm,
if like ate somebody ate some bad fruit, you told the story that Uncle John he did this fruit and now he's dead, so don't eat that fruit again. So that's basically it. And to get a little bit back into it now, even with I get the Wicked kind of reference. It's kind of Elphaba vibes. I love that movie so much because of it. So and you talked before about your identity as a Singaporean and what that means and kind of fighting with that. So can tell more about it.
Sorry, what was the question again? As in, what is my struggle with?
Yeah, well, because you said you're kind of figuring it out still, and I think everybody is. So, if you want to, you can kind of share your struggles and how you're fighting with it. Because so many people, especially in this day and age, and even if they want to get into that corporate world, they're probably scared that AI is going to take my job. So, who am I? What should I do? How I kind of worked for this degree so much, and now AI is come and take my job, and they are kind of feel lost.
I think, I mean, to answer the AI bit of the question, I think just never stop learning. Just continue to upgrade yourself. I don't think AI can ever fully replace certain parts of a human. Again, I think it's just about they will do very like admin tasks, but not strategic thinking kind of stuff. Like use AI to consolidate a lot of my thoughts, which helps me quite a lot because I think I'm like an overthinker. So that helps me quite a lot. But again, it doesn't generate ideas for me. It doesn't take from my life. It doesn't know my life. It's a non-living thing. It doesn't understand emotion the way we experience it. For the Singaporean bit, I think Singapore is a very survivalistic country. Just from our geography and like honestly, my dad always tells me in Singapore the only thing free is like air. Even our water is not free. We buy it from Malaysia. Yeah, so a lot of things that were built from the past. It's a lot through trade and stuff. And like I mean, I'm very proud of Singapore and like how far we have come as a small country. The advances we have made, it's really, really amazing. Of that, I think growing up in a system where it's just about surviving, like to survive, you need money. To make money and you need to get a good job. To get a good job, you need to get good grades. So that I couldn't fit that. Like I just didn't do well in school. Like I was much more of an athlete. Like I did well in like sports and stuff and art, but not so much like math, science, be a doctor, be a lawyer, that kind of thing. It was just really quite a struggle for me. It's not like I didn't work hard. I tried, but something just couldn't really click. Yeah. So with that, I tried very hard to fit in that way to study, but things just didn't quite work out. And then even in like law school and stuff, didn't do well. And I was in Perth for like 7 or 8 years, and I felt I really loved it because Perth in Western Australia is a much slower pace. So I really felt like I could slow down, I could take my time. But to be fair, when I was younger, it was all about partying and drinking and going crazy. But now when my day my every yearly, I still go back for trips and stuff. So it's a very like special place to me, and I go there, I know I can definitely slow down. Yeah, Singapore is a very fast-paced country. You should see like the pace at where we walk faster than New Yorkers, just to give you that example. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just felt very stifled in that this education system, and I just never like fit in. Even now, um, a lot of my friends are still in corporate, so more and more people are finding that, oh, I'm burning out. I want to go out and do my own thing. There's more to life than work, that sort of thing. I think I had these thoughts like 5 or 6 years ago. And that's why I was like, I want to be a creator. I can create my own business. I can schedule my own time and things like that. I just thought that was like kind of like a way out. And then I discovered, wow, filmmaking and stuff is quite fun. Yeah, I really like, really, really love it. Yeah. But I don't find that Singapore is very supportive of the sports or the arts. So it's tough, I think, to make like a living here, in my opinion. While I am very grateful for all the things Singapore provides, stability and all, I still feel like I don't quite belong here. So like my partner and I have plans to migrate soon. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And just seeing how life will treat us differently, I guess. Yeah, it's a bit of an adventure also. So I'm quite excited for that to kind of like kick off.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, what I heard from New York was that the city never sleeps and is full of grinders. And now saying that it's faster than that, it's crazy to me, honestly. And
Yeah.
with that, what was the last push that was like, oh, I'm leaving this corporate world? Like you said, you had a great time, but kind of was going, to live life or something. That what was kind of what's the story behind it?
Yeah, I had the best time of my life in Google. I feel like I grew up in Google. I met my partner in Google, so Google is a very special place for me. After Google, I went to TikTok for a very short while. I was there for like 4 months and then I left. And then I went on to another company, which I will not name, but I had the worst time there. Like the managers were really toxic. They like threw you under the bus. They were not supportive. Yeah, but at the same time, I think I was already very, very burnt out because at Google, literally gave my 120% at everything I did, with always the overachiever. But I was really, really happy. But I think at the end of it, I was just so tired, but I didn't know how to stop. And I just thought, okay, maybe I just need a change of environment, right? So I just continued to push on, but I was just exhausted. That's why. at the end of when I decide to leave corporate altogether, I'm like, I'm gonna take a break. I know I want to do I know I want to do content, but I just need a break from all this. I didn't know I was burnt out. So 4 months after that, I hopped into doing the podcast, which was a lot of work. It was a lot of work for one person, right? But honestly, it's been 3 years, three. It's been 3-ish years since I left the corporate world, and I'm still learning every day what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to be like a creator. It's a very different life because you do worry a lot about finances. There's no stable paycheck, but I feel like life is better now. Like I get to do what I love to do. I get to work with people I love to work with. I feel like there's meaning and impact in the work I do every day. I get to tell stories. I get to build my own business. You do need to be quite disciplined, I think, to push on. People always say it becomes from a 9 to 5, it becomes like a 24/7 kind of thing. So I think understanding yourself, understanding your boundaries, understanding your energy, I think it's really, really important. But when I look back, I guess the only thing is maybe I would have left Google a little bit later, but I still think I would have left corporate ultimately to do this.
Yeah. Um, Even to that, you talk about having your YouTube channel where you are giving career advice, and you knew that that's not what you're going to do your whole life because, you said you didn't even stay in the corporate world. And I wanted to ask, like, what's the worst piece of career advice that you've ever heard?
Wow. I don't really remember. Let me think. I don't really remember, honestly. The career, because corporate is so far away from me now. Hmm. I don't remember. I just knew being in there would like stifle me, you know? I just felt constricted. I felt like I wasn't learning. I felt like I wasn't living life, basically. It's like from one holiday, I was just like, oh my God, I'm back to work again. I'm doing the same thing again, da, 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 just to look forward to the next holiday. I'm like, there's got to be more to life than that, you know? Yeah, and then the feelings compounded, I think. So I don't know. I don't know what's the worst, but I just remember this feeling of I gotta go like live my life. I gotta go do what I want to do. I mean, YOLO in a responsible way. It's true. You only live life once, right? But it's not to go out and party and all that, but it's to really go out and like live your dreams and like build something meaningful, make impact on the world. Yeah, there's no good time to do it, honestly. That you just have to kind of like go out and do it. Yeah, I'm lucky because I feel like I had that time in Google. It's like 3/4 of my corporate life was in Google, and that was great. But the other 1/4 of it was horrendous, and like it's like all the worst things just coming together. So I would not wish that upon anyone. And I think I needed to go through that to like have the push to get out also anyway. So yeah, I think just yeah, like YOLO responsibly, I think. And that's not bad, but that's a good piece of advice.
No, that's honestly, I think it's like a great thing that you said, and it's, I think, mostly real because I think a lot of people kind of feel that, especially in today's world, that they are, they are burned out, as you said, but don't really feel that they are burned out, you know? So I think that's one of the main things. And kind of to get a little bit more like into like it honestly it is so interesting to me that maybe you were working that 9 to 5, but now you are working like I think even more, and it is still better than then. So I think that comes with kind of the purpose thing and what you really want to do. So wanted to get a little more even with the spiritual stuff because I think you've done a lot of even you one of your most kind of weird video or something like that is this trauma healing in Bali that I found it really interesting. And can
Mm.
you tell me more about that world and in generally?
Yeah, I think that was really one of the best weeks of my life. Like really super life changing. So Boa Meditasi is founded by this guy called Edwin. He also went through the corporate life and all that, and then he left to Bali to want to help people heal their traumas. And basically, I went to see him in Bali last year, and I loved the session with him so much. He was like, "Oh yeah, we're because he wants to help more people in the world, but he can't do it himself physically, right? So he's like, I want to train people, I want to teach people how to help others." So I went for this training with my partner too, actually, and yeah, it was really, really life changing. Trauma is, well, we believe that trauma is actually stored in your body. So if you experience something traumatic, even though you over time you forget about it, right? But they believe that the trauma is still sometimes embedded in the body. So sometimes through breathing, all that, for example, if your shoulder always aches, right? It can be said that, you are holding a lot of burden. Like your body tells you more about you than you believe, right? I think in this world, we are always trained to think logically with the mind objectively, but I think we have forgotten how to feel with our bodies, with our hearts. So I think really connecting the mind to the heart, to the soul is what I really kind of like got out of it. And then you learn, so you do the trauma facilitation stuff, you go through it, and it's done through a series of breath work and qigong. It's qigong is like a Chinese sort of thing where you kind of like not really manipulate, but you kind of hold energy. So it really calms the body down, makes the body feel safe enough for you to either release or cry. A lot of people end up crying because um again, me for example, I cried, bawled, and threw a tantrum basically like a baby or a kid. The last time I remember doing something like that was maybe when I was 5 or 6, because as we grow older, societal norms are like, you are not supposed to act like this in the world, right? People will think you're a bit crazy and whatnot. When you feel safe enough in your body and you need to express that grief in this safe space, you are able to. Just take, for example, like a baby, right? Babies cry, but they cry because they're upset. But as adults, sometimes don't do that enough. People say, "Oh, you're too much. Why are you crying?" We suppress a lot of emotions. So this whole thing is about recognizing and feeling safe in your body for you to express whatever you need to express out and just like release all the trauma, all the thoughts and stuff. It's a very spiritual thing, I would say. And I have never been this spiritual woo kind of person in my previous years. I've always been like, I can't meditate. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, oh my God, it looks like a weird cult kind of thing. But going there, experiencing this, it helped me so much. It really helped my inner child. Like, truly, truly. Like, I feel everyone in the world needs this. It's so, so powerful. And it's really life changing. Really, really the one of the best experiences I've had in my life, honestly.
Oh, that's so interesting. And with that, even I think you said before that even Singapore is really like performative country, and I think I saw your video that you are kind of you have this Chinese heritage, or you're like partly like Chinese, I think, or
Mhm,
even
mhm.
like Chinese culture, and I think that's I don't know how is it there, but I'm kind of like interested in it. How like people take all the education stuff, and even maybe how did your parents react to you being kind of this content creator now and leaving this job? Because when I would have a kid, I would be like, oh, you're leaving Google. Like, why would you do that? To this do this content thing and all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I am Chinese, and my parents are. My dad is Singaporean. My mom is also Singaporean. Previously she was Indonesian and she converted, but I'm very lucky. They were both actually very supportive of me leaving. To this day, I believe they still don't really know what I do or understand the content model and stuff. But most importantly, I think they do support me through it. And I think that's a lot more than like I can ask for, you know. I am very like grateful to them, and they yeah, I mean, I think I've always been quite enterprising. When I finished law school, I came back, and that time I was like quite crazy over like weightlifting and stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna start a gym. They're like, no, 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 no. Go and work a few years first, get your experience, and then next time when you have more experience, you want to go off and do your own thing, you can do that, you know? Yeah, so when I left this time, they were like, okay, go and do whatever you need. We are here to support you. So yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful that they took it quite okay.
No, that's okay. Like I think it's so great that you have the supporting parents. And honestly, even with that getting a bit of experience, I think most of our parents, even if they don't really get what we are doing, I think they just want the best for us at the end. So, no, that's the main thing. And to get a little bit back into the emotions, I kind of got really deep into that. And even with feeling your emotions, because I had a problem with that. Many people have, because even with this kind of content creation and there's a lot of stress and anxiety, because as you said, there you never know when the paycheck comes, or it is very uncertain, and there are a lot of hard emotions there, and most of the time we are kind of taught to just suppress it. But I think most of them, that even when they people achieve it, that then there's like volcano of emotion just comes, and they feel right now like, oh, why did I do this? And they have all these kind of even spiritual a little or something like that, kind of these like they get a little bit deep into it, or deep into emotions, or that's kind of what the pattern I saw. So how would you advise people to just feel a little bit more, and how to do that?
I think it's really about quietening yourself down because we're always like go, 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 right? And then when we're not going, we're on our phones. So really carving out the space to like I know meditation can be quite difficult for people. It's difficult for me too. But before even getting into meditation, breath work really helps. Like just sitting there, doing like a couple of breaths, like a full breath. So you breathe in through your stomach and then you let the air go up to your chest and then your shoulders. So it's like that's like one full breath, right? Just doing that like a few times, and then there's this thing called 4-7-8. So inhale 4, hold for 7, and then exhale 8 for 8. If you're feeling panicked on all that, just do that for like 5 times. You will already feel calmer. So I think it's a lot to do with our breath. Honestly, most of us we're not taking full breaths. We're basically half the time we're just like, we're
Yeah.
not really deeply breathing or breathing properly. So when we take the time to actually do that, it will actually calm our nervous system down. And I think that is really one of the best ways to just slow down, breathe, and just have a quiet moment to yourself and like going back into your body, into your soul. And then once you're in that state, you are able to feel a bit more about like your emotions, right? And then just, yeah, after that, I'll do a bit of like qigong outside, going into nature, walking on grass, like really just grounding yourself in the moment. A lot of us are either stuck very much in the past or stuck in the future. So just being present and noticing the small things that are like happening now, I think that helps with a lot of like anxiety, right? Anxiety is like you're expecting something, but it's not here yet, that sort of thing. But it's not even happened yet, you know? So really focusing on just being present in the moment with the breath work. Yeah, I think that's one thing I think everyone can start to do, start to learn about themselves. And like understanding your emotions. I think sometimes when we get angry or we get sad, like emotions are like a signal. So instead of just going off with emotions, if you know how to contain yourself and your space, you can question yourself like, why am I feeling this way, you know and slowly you sometimes get to the root of it. And it's interesting because generally it leads to childhood. Yeah, but I won't go like too much in depth into that. But it's very, very interesting work, I think. And once you are more into that space, I think it's a lot about feeling more abundant, feeling the good in the world, feeling good energy instead of feeling like fear. Instead of there's not enough of this, it's not enough money going around, but reframing and also feeling the vibrations, right? You know the term vibes, right? Yeah, vibes is like it's really truly like the little particles in the air, vibrations that you cannot see but are actually happening. So the better your vibrations are, more good things will kind of like be attracted to you. But it takes a bit of understanding, it takes a bit of trial and error because it's difficult for a human to accept something we can't see, right? So yeah, I would say, I mean, if anyone's really interested, seriously, go to Bali, go and see Edwin. He's like amazing, so life changing. Like I've changed, my partner has changed. It's just a lot about doing the inner work, knowing yourself. And I feel like once you're yourself, you know your inner, you continue to heal your inner child, you will become a better human being, you'll be a happier human being, you'll be a more authentic human being, you'll live your most authentic life. Yeah, and things will just not saying life will be easy, but at least you're stepping forward with peace. I think that's the word peace. It'll be more peaceful.
Absolutely. And I think on this great end we could end this podcast. It's only almost an hour and a half, and I think I want to thank you because we had a great conversation. I think you can, inspire and help a lot of people, with start their content creation journey and all of it. I'm really grateful to have you here, and I'm grateful for all the people that watched till the end, and I'm curious about their like experiences and perspectives. So let that know in the comments, and yeah, thank you again for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kate, for having me on. Yeah, I think content is amazing. I think like what you're doing is amazing also. Thank you for like having me on, and we would never have connected if not for social media. So it's a sign
Absolutely,
to get on it to connect with others.
absolutely. Okay.